All right, guys, good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Fire Fridays with Dave. Today is Friday, September 29th, wrapping up the end of the third quarter, believe it or not. So we're going into the fourth quarter. So just like in sports, fourth quarter, baby, this is where we lay it all on the line and make it happen. So we're excited. And what better way to kick it off than to have our really, really great friends, Jay and Ashley Nelson, here joining us. We appreciate you guys. You probably have seen them out there. And if you have not been under a rock and you know anything about like the regional rallies and some of the other cool stuff that's going on, you've seen what they've done to make those things happen. I love that the way that they have built their business, both their sales business and their agent attraction business, how they do things, how they approach things, and such a people first mentality. So I'm excited to have you guys here. We love you guys. So thank you for taking the time to come hang out with us today. So welcome.
We're glad to be here. We're excited.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. We're here to serve and help. And Dave, you're one of our favorite people. You got a heart of gold.
And Kristen.
And Kristen. Yeah, exactly.
Especially.
Yeah, Kristen's amazing. Your family's amazing. We met your daughters. You're just a great man. And we're very blessed to be on here and excited to meet all these new awesome faces here. So
yeah, this is a great group. This is we've got group, we're in 21 states and 4 countries now. It's kind of fun. We've got
awesome.
I see Mavericks on here. He's over in France. If he's still over there.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Maverick. I love your name.
I know,
cool.
right?
That's cool. Well, I want that name. Give me his name.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I always wanted to be Mav.
We gotta get one of our kids to name a kid Maverick. That is a good idea. Hey, thank you, Maverick, for the inspiration.
Love it. So
anytime.
You guys have amassed just about 2,000 people, I think, right? You guys are around 2,000 people in your organization. So, and how many years have you been with eXp?
6
years. So 2,000 people in 6 years. Those of us that have been in a brokerage, have owned brokerages or have managed them, and we've got a mix of a bunch of those types on here. And 2,000 people in 6 years, right? If you go open up a brokerage somewhere, in 6 years, you hope to be over 100. Maybe if you're lucky and you're in a big market, you have a couple hundred max, right?
Yep.
200, maybe 300, something like that. So 2,000 agents, having built and that sort of thing in the span of 6 years, from an industry standpoint is unbelievable.
We're very blessed, Dave. And, we always say, we're just very passionate about people. That's the number one. I'm a people person. She's a people person. We love to hug people, high five people. I love, I didn't have a big background. I was a waiter in a restaurant and a wannabe country music singer here in Nashville. And, I just always love people. And so does Ashley. And that's really been the key, is we really try to pour into people. And, I always tell our people, man, don't chase money, chase doing the right thing. I just had a call with one of our agents in another state about developing land. And I told him, I said, look, that man called you to represent him. So you've got to fight for that person. You've got to have that passion for him. And so I always tell our people, all 2,000 of them, don't chase money, chase doing the right thing. Always do what's in the best interest of others, and you're going to win. So that's how we built our whole business.
Yeah, I love that. I've seen that in action.
And talking about growing to 2,000 in just 6 years, that really, we understand that that's huge. I got my start with Century 21. My grandparents owned a Century 21 franchise in Louisiana where I got started, and they were in real estate and owned brokerages my entire life. That's what I saw them do. And they equally loved their agents, equally, had passion to help their agents. They just didn't have the platform to be able to do what we've done.
That's true.
And so, so we saw that. I saw that struggle my whole life, but them recruiting agents and then their agents getting recruited. away from them, but they just didn't have this ability. So when we saw eXp and it said, wait a minute, we can do what my grandparents did their whole lives, but we can do it anywhere. We can bring on agents anywhere without the liability and the expense. We were just all in from really the day that we saw eXp.
I love it.
We saw it and got excited. And the other thing, and I think Ashley's kind of alluding to where we are, what excited us and what got us passionate about eXp was the fact that we were literally partnering with other people. We weren't saying, hey, come here. Because see, man, I'm all about transparency, man. I probably piss a lot of people off because I say crazy stuff, but it's like, I will throw it all out there and I'm not afraid. I don't care.
He's getting the squeeze
I'm
off
getting
camera.
the squeeze. She's like, don't go crazy.
On his knee right now.
But here's the deal. What I loved about eXp is I was RE/MAX, right? So I was RE/MAX for 15 years. I was lifetime achievement, all that stuff. And people would come to me when I was at RE/MAX, Dave, and they would be like, man, I know you're selling, all these houses and you're this crazy guy and blah, blah, blah. And they would say, hey, come join, can we join you? And I'm like, why don't I just teach you how to do what I do and you just do it? Like if you got work ethic and I have the playbook, then we got something here. And so I looked at eXp as a venture to partner with other people. So I wasn't going and pitching them something that, hey, come here for me. I was saying, hey, come here for we. Come here to learn. Come here to be a partner, an equal partner. And that's what the magic of eXp is, Dave, is that every agent gets the same deal, the transparency of being able to say, hey, you come in here. I've sold 1,300 houses. You've not sold one house, but you get the same deal that I get. That I can get passionate about that, Dave.
Yeah, I love that. So talk more about that. Let's go further on that, because that's always the big question, right? I mean, it's just like lead generation for sales and everything else. It's where does it come from? Like how do you go from, the two of you guys are here to 2,000 people? What are the conversations and where are you finding people and just how do you create that? I've always referred to it as a snowball. You're knocking snowballs off the ledge and you don't know how far they're going to run. So your job is just to go nudge as many snowballs off the ledge as you can. So how do you have those conversations? How do you start that up? What do you guys do?
Go ahead, babe.
I say first of all is like whenever we first came to eXp, like we watched every video we could watch. Anybody that had pre-recorded a presentation, we watched it. We got on the website, we clicked every click you could click to try to see everything that we could learn. We went into the world, we went to every office, we took the time, and I think maybe it really wasn't that much time because we just,
compressed time. We compressed
time. Just like very quickly, just try to absorb as much information as possible. And when you do that, and when you get on presentations and you listen to it over and over and over again, it becomes, I say, like readily on your lips.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to bring up. It's easy to talk about because we know how good it is, you know? And so that's part of it. Just make it like second nature to you. And also, we cared if somebody wasn't interested because we know that this is better for them, but it didn't hurt us personally, at least for me, because I know that I'm sharing something that is good for other people.
Yep.
And so I think that a lot of people, talk to a couple other agents and they're like, oh, well, I'm just not really good at recruiting, or
right.
I don't, nobody's interested in this. Well, the thing is, me and Jay have just talked to way more agents than other people have. Like that's what it boils down to. And we didn't always do it right in the beginning. And I will say what is right for me is not necessarily what's right for you in recruiting. What works for me doesn't always work for Jay. And that's the opposite too. So, I mean, I remember one of my very best friends, like lifelong friends, and it was horrible. It was the worst. Like me talking about her in the beginning was awful, awful. But doing that helped me learn what I needed to do. So it's like you have to kind of screw it up a lot of times to learn what does work for you. So it's not just like this formula. It is it is you doing it enough times where you figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
But as far as like the type of people that we started, talking to and that we still do, one was, agents that we had done deals with. That's, kind of an easy start.
Mm-hmm.
Then also we got referrals from other people. Like I send a text, to people. Like I think about people that are not in real estate, that do not live in my area. And I'll send them a text. Hey, me and Jay are still in real estate in the Nashville area, doing really great, but we're actually expanding our brokerage nationwide. Do you happen to know any really great agents in your neck of the woods? P.S. And then say something personal.
Yeah.
How are the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Then they send back, oh, actually, I do know Susie so-and-so.
Mhm.
She's a great agent. I think you should connect with her. Here's her number. Well, then I will text Susie so-and-so and I'll say, hey, so-and-so is my friend. This is how we know each other. He said this about you. And I quote it. Susie so-and-so is a great agent. She really helped us.
Yep.
And so that's really good. And so me and my husband are in real estate in Nashville, and I would love to see what you have going on in West Virginia, wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a good time that we can jump on the phone and talk in the next couple of days? So that's another thing that we do a lot.
That is great. All right. So that's something where, we talk about that a lot of times with sales. And what I love about this is a lot of times I found that, we all, when we think about agent attraction, people get scared. They're out selling houses, they're out building their business, they're out doing stuff and everything else. And then when they think about agent attraction, like, I can't do that. Right. And what you just described is a tactic that we have taught agents on how to go build their sales business. Right. When you talk to people, it's like, I've always told my agents that, if your sphere of influence never buys or sells a house again, you should be fine. As long as you can get referrals from them, right? Because they're all going to know, roughly 5 people every year that will buy or sell. If you have 100 people in your sphere, then they know 500 people, not they know 500 people, they know 500 people that are actually going to buy or sell a house this year, or maybe both, right? So that's, if your sphere never sells, with a sphere of 100, you have 500 people, 500 transactions to get a shot at.
That's
and
right.
for people, their goal is not to hit 500 transactions this year. For some it is, but for most it's not, not that big. So you have more than enough opportunity. You just have to talk to the people that you know and get the referrals to the people they know. So what you're describing here is, you don't even have to talk to other agents. You talk to your friends and your family, live in different areas, and just say, hey, have you heard about what I'm doing? In addition to selling houses, I'm expanding my what we call ours, our community, right? Our Fire Partners community. We're expanding our community. It's like a virtual brokerage. We have incredible opportunities for agents. Here's some of the cool stuff about what we do. Who do you love? What other realtors do you know? And who do you think might be a good fit? Could you connect me with them? And then they make a warm connection for you, and you have that conversation. I think that's brilliant. I haven't heard anyone else describe that approach before yet.
Dave, I want to say something else on that. Because I was always, a grinder realtor. I was never the biggest realtor, but I was a solo agent for the majority of my career. My last year at Remax, my wife asked me, I sold 81 houses in 12 months without a buyer's agent. So you can imagine the workload. And I do it with a lot of, like, I'm not one of these guys that just sticks a sign in the yard and you never hear from me again. I am all about the client service. I've never been a lead buyer because I've never had to be. And when you can sell that many houses by just being a good person to a lot of people and they refer the crap. And I always say, going back to this, and I'm going to make my point on agent attraction here in just a second. I always treated $100,000. We just sold a $3.7 million house 6 weeks ago. But I always tell people, you only got one gear with me. It's full speed. So I'm going to treat a $100,000 buyer exactly the way I'm going to treat a $3.7 million seller. And so whenever I saw eXp and I saw this ability to be able to partner with all these cool agents, I was sitting on a plane. We had gone to San Diego, And I was sitting on a plane, and when I get quiet, you got to start you got to start like going, "You okay?" Ashley knows. Ashley knows. And I was real quiet, and she was like, "What is going through your head?" And I said, "I know what I got to do when I get back to Nashville." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "I need to sell more houses in the next 12 months while we build this business." And so I went from 21 million my last year at Remax to 30, I think it was 33 or 32 million by myself while we recruited to 400 agents. So whenever I hear an agent say, "I'm too busy to recruit," I'm saying, "Well, how did I sell 64 houses and build the brokerage to 400 agents in 12 months?" Because I was obsessed with the partnership part. Like, I believe sales is attraction. See, I'm looking at, like, all the different people on the Zoom here. And I want you to know the next house you sell is agent attraction. If you did it with integrity, heart, and that other agent on the other end said, "Man, I really appreciate Stephen James busting his ass to help me get that closing done." And then it's a coffee, Stephen. It's a coffee. It's like, "Hey, Mike, we got the damn thing closed. Everybody tried to bail 10 times. Let's me and you go grab a beer or coffee, and let's just talk real estate. Let's see how we can help each other." Right. And then it's like, "Yeah, you're right. Stephen, you're right. Let's go grab coffee." And then it's really about going to that coffee with a giving mindset, not a recruiting mindset. It's going to that coffee and saying, "Hey, Mike, you were awesome on the other end of that deal. What are you doing for lead gen? What's your jam? What's your passion about real estate?" And just getting Mike to tell you what his long game is. And if his long game is, a couple of questions I always ask, how many houses do you want to sell next year? How many houses you sell this year? How many houses you want to sell next year? How are you going to get to that income level? If you ask enough questions, Dave, I don't ever take a laptop. I take a manila folder into every recruiting. I take a pen and a manila folder in. And the key to this is if you go and say, "Well, you know what? I was on a mastermind this week, and they were teaching these client appreciation parties, these pumpkin patch parties. Are you doing a pumpkin patch or anything like that this year?" "Well, no, I've never heard of that."
Which we're doing on Sunday.
We're doing one on Sunday with our clients. And so you go with a give, go to the coffee with a give. And what ends up happening is I won't even bring up eXp, and they'll go, "So what do you like about eXp?" And I'll go, "Man, you know what? It's awesome. Everybody helps each other. We're all partners." That's cool. Partners. Use the word. Get that in your brain. Everybody, stop saying team, stop saying eXp, and start using the word partner. In every time you talk about eXp, you need to use the word partner. That's an equal alignment, right? And then what I do, and at least what we're doing now, because I'm sure, Dave, you have the masterminds, right? Yep. Like, there could be, you could invite to Friday and say, "Hey, look, you're going to meet some cool people." Maybe you have one more, because we have different Zooms every week. I think we have, how many we got this week? Like 6 different Zooms for our group. One of them is agent attraction. That's on Monday morning. Tuesday morning, every time we have over 100, 115, 140 agents, and it's masterminding. And we don't talk about recruiting in that call. All we talk about is, the playbook changes every week in real estate. I always tell people, if you're running your real estate business off of YouTube videos from 2 years ago, or something that a coach is teaching you from I just think you got to current everything up. And so we have them on that call, Dave, and we tell people to bring a guest, and then they see the vibe, and then people are like, "I'm coming to eXp." So that's how.
And then we have webinars that, are the explaining eXp.
Yeah.
And so
4 of those a week.
Yeah, 4 of those a week.
Oh.
So what we do and what we teach our agents is, do not do a presentation.
Yep.
Do not. You just have conversations with agents. And some of the questions I like to ask are, how long have you been in real estate? How many different brokerages have you been at?
These are good ones.
And so I'm asking these, what do you like about the brokers that you're at right now? So I'm just looking for one thing in the conversation that I can say, "Oh, do you know what? At eXp, we do that a little bit different. We do, and then I go into that, and then I say, would you want to jump on a webinar with me just to learn more about it? It's no pressure at all, but that way you would at least have the information. A lot of times they're like, yeah, so okay, then I give them the information. So we teach just have conversations and then invite them to something.
Yep.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And that's a lot of times they're nervous about having that conversation and taking it further, and they're not skilled at it. And to be honest, it is a skill that you learn over time, but also takes that out of when you have a relationship with someone, they part of the fear is I don't want to, it's like with your friends and you decide maybe you like them, and it's like, man, but if we date and then we break up, are we not going to be friends anymore? Kind of a thing, right? So like we're agents and we're friends. And if I start talking to you about eXp, if you don't like this, then all of a sudden I've made it awkward. Now it's weird, right? So like take that part out and be like, hey, I love my company, everything else. If you want to hear it, but that's cool. But I'm going to bring you to this person over here who can talk about it. Because if you decide you don't want it, then like that's totally fine. That was your conversation with them, that sort of thing. So it allows it to be a safe environment, which I think is really, really smart. I want to we've got just a couple minutes, we've got 5 minutes left, believe it or not. So I want to ask you guys about a couple of things real quick. And I appreciate, man, I've taken a bunch of notes. I love it. And actually talking about, getting into mastery, learning all the information, right? You're clicking through, you guys, did a crash course on eXp to make sure that you could talk fluently about it and that it was internalized in your system. So people ask questions. It wasn't like, oh, I think, right? You're like, oh yeah, we've got that. Here's where you go find it. Love it. Make a ton of attempts. Talk to a lot of people. You're not going to convert them all. Don't expect to. Just like I always compare it to knocking on doors. You go to a 300 house subdivision and knock on doors to introduce yourself, try to get listings. You don't expect to come out of there with 300 listings, right? I mean, you're lucky if you get 1 to 3 listings out of it, and probably not on day one. So, that's you kind of have to treat this the same way. Have a ton of conversations, build great relationships. They'll reward you over time. And then learn as you go, fail forward, just do it. Your first presentation probably was horrible. And then it, you're like, oh, I would say this differently. So I love all that stuff. You guys have focused on them in your 4-time icons. So, you produce a lot of real estate, you guys sell a lot of houses, you got a great business, you focus in on that, which is great. But, so there's been a focus on production for you guys, a focus on service and helping other people and everything else. One of the things that you've done really, really well is create a sense of community, and bring it together based on that production, which has led into the regional rallies. Can you give everybody just a 30-second pitch on what the regional rallies are? Because they're coming up, and you guys have brought that concept to eXp and then helped all of us learn how to do it at a high level. Now we're rolling into our next session of them coming up in November.
They're going to be great. Everybody needs to be at them. I mean, you want to take it?
Yeah.
Take it.
So the regional rallies, so me and Jay, like he said, we love people, and people are built off of relationships. Like life is done based off of relationships and community. And, sometimes in today's world, we can feel disconnected because a lot of times things are virtual, and there's so much good to that, but also there is a lot of good to being in person, hugging people,
recognizing people for their wins.
Yeah. And so the regional rallies are meant to be more on a local level. You can go in person, see other agents, and it's about recognizing and celebrating each other. Because at these rallies, if you've sold your very first house, you're going to get to take the stage and be recognized. And if you're all the way up to icon, and that is so huge because we don't get a lot of recognition, in our industry other than ourselves. Hey, I just sold a house,
Right.
but from each other, or from, maybe if you were like at a mom and pop, you might be like, hey, you sold a house, but it just really doesn't happen that often. Or you may get a plaque or something.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say something on that. First of all, Dave, if it wasn't for Dave Conord, the regional rallies would have never happened. We had people come roadblock it left and right. And I'm just saying, Dave said, this is good. We're doing this. Thank you, Dave, because regional rallies would have never happened if it wasn't for Dave Conord. The other thing is I look at an agent, guys, I get more excited when I hear an agent sold their first house than if they hit icon. It's a big freaking deal.
Big deal.
When an agent in their first year sells 12 houses, I'm like, come on, baby, we're going to 24, right?
Yeah.
We're going to, you know, whatever it is. And so we want to recognize everybody's winning. Look, man, it takes a little while to get your steam up. I always tell agents, stop looking at the guy on the billboard and saying, you know, don't put him on a pedestal. I was a waiter. You got to have a mindset. And what I'm saying is, like, those encouraging times where you're recognized, wipe the top 100 out of your brain at eXp. I don't care about the top 100. I care about I call them T2 1000s. We build Terminators. We get one agent in our market. No, we do. I have one agent that we brought on with help of somebody else, obviously, to help them bring it on. But like I said, let's go hard. We'll give you the playbook. She sold 36 houses in her first year, 68 in her second, 72. Now their fourth year, it's 100 houses. And so I told her 4 years ago, you're going to take your market. You're going to be the biggest realtor in your town because you're going to outwork them. You're going to outpassion those other agents. And so to me, Dave, like, the regional rallies are about creating the next icons. And who's that person, and making people feel good about where they are. Because everybody wins at a different level.
Because then that newer agent that may have just sold their first house, who gets that recognition, then they get to see people cross the stage that have just capped or that are icons.
Yes.
They think, okay, I can do that. Like, I identify with them. You know, they're not this over the top personality. I'm a lot like them. So if they can do it, I can too. So that's a big part of the rallies also. You know, we have a brand new agent. He is my cousin's son. So my little cousin, and he's a brand new agent in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's working on his first deal. It's only $115,000, and it is you know, a nightmare one, actually. But he is working so hard, and I am so excited for that to close. I'm so excited for him to get to go to the regional rally in Baton Rouge and him get recognized, because that's gonna bolster him to be like, okay, I did it. I can do more.
I love it. I love it. You know, and we've had, why is it that the first transaction is always like the bumpiest, like gnarliest, nastiest transaction? That's you, Rick. I'm looking at you, Rick. He went through and he threw that thing on his back, and he like carried it through, carried that thing over the finish line, like exhausted, slumped to the ground, but it was done. High five. So I love it. Yeah, it is. That is, I love that, with, you know, where your head is on that too. And they, you know, I don't know if this is completely accurate or not, but I've heard this said, and I know it's at least in the ballpark, that, you know, 80% of the business that will be done in 5 years from now will be done by people who are just getting into the business today. Right. So, you know, our industry is like a moving river. Right. And so there's that saying about, you know, you can't step into the same river twice. Right. And this industry is constantly people getting in, people getting out, people learning how, you know, it's clicking and their business taking off and all that kind of stuff like that. And so, you know, that's one of the things I really love about it is there are some people that have been around forever and producing at a high level. And that's awesome, because those are the old guard that teach and train and lead and that kind of stuff. But I love having the fresh, you know, new faces come in, bring new perspectives and everything else like that. It's the fact that we recognize them and keep them going. I'd love if we could reduce the washout rate in this industry by getting people really trained and supported. So as we're wrapping up, there's one other thing that's not really related, but you guys also have like there's a movie I saw related to your family, right?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You want to throw a plug in for that real quick while we're here?
Yes. So it is called The Blind, and it came out yesterday. We're actually going tonight here in Nashville, and it is the story of Phil and Kay Robertson. And it is truly a story of love and redemption. And their story was not always glamorous by any means. I grew up with them. My sister is Corey Robertson, is married to Willie Robertson. And truly what God did in their lives is a true miracle. And they came from, you know, a very, very rough background, and including in their marriage. and God totally, redeemed them. And Phil is not the same person that he was. And I even had somebody message me last night on Facebook. They went to see it yesterday. Randomly, they were at the beach and it was raining. So at 4 o'clock, they said, let's just go to the movie. They said everybody stood up and clapped when the movie was over.
Awesome.
So go see the blind.
Yeah, and that's of the Duck Dynasty fame for those of you that were fans of that. So really, really cool stuff. I love it. And I think one of the things that endeared you guys to us right away is just that commonality, faith, family, and friends being some of the key things. And we love that about you guys. So man, I could, and we do talk.
Dave, I want to say one more thing.
What's up, brother?
I just want to tell everybody out there that's watching this, you got this. You got this. And we've all been through crap. Life is crap. There's crap. You got distractions. You got all this stuff coming at you that's telling you don't have this. But you got this. If you surround yourself with the right people, the right hearts, the right passionate people that really truly care about you, that because you got to get around that environment. Because if you get around the wrong environment, you don't got this.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got this. You got Dave. You got Kristen.
You're in the right
place,
yeah.
baby. Y'all got this.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. Oh man. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for taking your time to come hang out with us. I appreciate you. We will see you in Vegas.
Love you guys.
Are you going?
Yep. See you in
Oh
Vegas.
yeah, and we'll
Awesome.
see y'all. If anybody ever comes to Nashville, hit us up. We love to. We'll point you in the right directions. If we can meet you, we will. We love Nashville. Just let us know. And Dave, we've always said, I want you and Kristen to come stay at the house, stay at the farm, see the deer, see all the crazy
We are
stuff.
in, man. We got empty nest. We got a little more flexibility in our lives.
Come to our Christmas party.
Oh, there you go. All right, shoot us the info.
See y'all.
All right, I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Have an awesome Friday. Have a great weekend.
y'all.
Love you all. Keep it out there. Let us know what we can do to help you.
Love
Thanks,
y'all. Have
guys.
a
See
great
y'all.
one.
See y'all in Vegas.